Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today we are going to do a little eyeshadow palette declutter. I personally don't think that I have too many palettes. Like, I definitely have a lot, but the main reason I want to do this is because I feel like I have palettes that I don't use, and I don't mind buying makeup and having makeup that I use and that I love and that I like, but I do mind having a bunch of products sitting around that I'm not using because I don't want them to expire. I'd rather pass them along to someone who can use them or resell them, or just give them a better life, basically, than sitting in a drawer. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So I think I'm starting with 39 palettes. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. I don't know. But I'll count them up at the end. Again, just to verify, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I have 39 palettes. So I don't really know what my goal is with this. Like, if I can get rid of 10, I feel like that would be good. So I've kind of split them up by brand, sort of, and then like I have a bunch of brands I only have one thing from. So I'm going to start with something that I know I'm keeping, and that is the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes palette. I'm definitely keeping this because I just bought it and it's so beautiful and I'm so excited about it. So yeah, this is definitely a keep. Okay, I'm also going to be keeping my Tati Beauty palette. I just bought this in January and I think it's really beautiful. I reach for this a lot. I really like the mattes in here, and then these like lighter shimmer colors I use a ton, and I use the glitters. So overall I think this is a really great palette and I really like it, so I'm gonna keep it. This right here, this little baby, I think it's time to say goodbye to this. This is the Urban Decay Electric palette. I've just had this for a while and I don't ever really reach into it anymore. I used to use colorful eyeshadow quite a bit, probably more than you might expect, but it's just not something that I gravitate towards these days, so I'm going to declutter this one. So I also have this Pixie palette that I received in PR, and I do think it's really beautiful, but I don't like that it doesn't have any mattes and that's an all shimmer palette. That kind of turns me off from wanting to use it, but I do like the quality of Pixie eyeshadows. But since this is new and, still in the packaging, I'm just going to pass this along to a new home, so that's the second declutter. We can go through my Dominique Cosmetics palettes. So I have the Berries and Cream, which I really like this palette. I think it's beautiful for like mauve tones, and I like that it has a lot of depth to it. I think I'm going to keep this palette. The Latte palette is currently in my project pan, so I'm definitely keeping this one, but it's also just one of my favorite neutral palettes, so that's for sure keep. Then I have the Celestial Thunder palette, which came in a BoxyCharm, which I no longer get, and I'm going to declutter this palette because I just don't really see myself using it. I never want to reach for it, and I'm sure the quality is great because I love the quality of her shadows, but yeah, I think that this will just do better in someone else's collection, so that's a declutter. I can also go through my Too Faced palettes. I have the Gingerbread Spice palette, which is probably one of my favorite Too Faced palettes I've ever had. I love the tones in here, I love the colors, I love the quality, I think it's so beautiful, so I'm definitely keeping this one. And then this is another one of my favorite Too Faced palettes I've ever had, and it's the Chocolate Gold palette. It has 4 matte colors, so this is perfect for a crease, and these are for like deepening up the outer corner, and I use this to like set and highlight with. And then I just love that you can just pop on one shimmer and it's like such an easy, quick palette. And I actually travel with this a lot because it is so quick and easy and the quality is so beautiful. So this is definitely a keep for me. The Sweet Peach palette. I bought this in 2016. So it's like 4 years old now, and I think the quality is just kind of going down over time. But I do think that this is a beautiful palette and I got a ton of use out of it. It's kind of hard to tell because the shadows are really hard pressed, but these definitely have like dents in them. But I think that I am ready for this to leave my collection, and I'm going to pass it along to my sister because I don't think she'll mind that it's a little older and she'll still get a lot of use out of it. So this is going to be decluttered. Wow, that's really kind of sad, I'm not going to lie. Another one that I can declutter is just this Ulta Midnight Vibes palette. It came as a free gift with purchase with a recent Ulta purchase, and I have no desire to open this or use it, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Oh, I forgot this Too Faced palette. This is the Just Peachy Mattes palette. I do like this palette a lot. I feel like it kind of seems kind of boring because it's just like all these neutral shades, but I reach for this really quite frequently and I really like it, so I'm gonna keep it. Or some of them kind of quickly. So this is the Over palette I just bought. I do think this is really beautiful, so I'm gonna keep this. The only shade that I did not like was this one on the end. Like, it was terrible. I don't know what it's called, Orion maybe. I don't know how those shades are supposed to be, but no, it was, this darker shade was just awful. Like, ugh, I don't know, not my favorite, but I do like the colors in the palette. I think they're pretty unique, and I kind of wanted to look at this next to, oh my gosh, are you guys seeing this? What a mess. Okay, well, 2 shades in this palette are destroyed, so that sucks, but I did want to look next to these palettes to see if there are any similarities in them, which I'm not even showing you, but there are a couple of shades maybe that look pretty similar, so I'm gonna have to clean this up at another point in time, but I might just be pulling some of these shades out of here because the pans are magnetic, so I guess that will kind of count as a declutter, but yikes. But yeah, anyway, I'm keeping this palette. Okay, I also have the Charlotte Tilbury Holiday palette, the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize palette. I love this palette. I think it's beautiful, it's quick, easy to use. There's like a bunch of different looks you can make. I'm definitely keeping this. So another one that I know I'm going to be decluttering is the Storybook Cosmetics Fairy Tales palettes, the Little Briar Rose. I got this in a BoxyCharm. There was some controversy about this, but honestly, I do think there are pretty shadows in here, but it's not anything that I don't have in other palettes. And this palette is really big and thick and bulky, and I just don't really want to store it. So yeah, I'm going to pass this along to my sister. These are my 2 Anastasia palettes. I just have the Sultry and the Soft Glam, and these are the only 2 I've kept from Anastasia. Like, I decluttered my Norvina palette. I used up my Modern Renaissance like almost completely. Subculture, I've turned that at some point. I had the Prison palette. I gave that to my sister already. The Riviera palette, the bright one. I also gave that to my sister because I just didn't use them. These are the 2 palettes from Anastasia that I feel like I use the most and get the most use out of. So yeah, these are the only 2 I'm keeping, and I'm going to just keep keeping both of these because I really love neutral palettes. I do like these, and I know that I will still get a lot of use out of them. So I'm keeping these. My Violet Voss palette. This is the Holy Grail palette, and I really liked the quality of this palette. I think it's really beautiful and really nice, and I really like all the looks that I get out of it. I think they blend just like really seamlessly and easily. And I'm really debating decluttering this because I feel like I don't reach for it that frequently. But I think it's going to be one that I keep for a little while longer and then decide later. Because I did use it a couple days ago and I still really liked it. I think I'm going to keep this for now. And then we'll see where we're at in like the next time I do this. We'll just go through my Natasha and Huda palettes really quickly. So this is the Mini Retro palette, which I do like this. So I'm going to keep that one. This is the Mini Nude. I use this one a lot. It's like a really quick, easy eyeshadow look palette. I'm going to keep that. This is the Gold palette, which I love this palette, so I'm keeping it. I don't know. I'm not going to get rid of any of these because I already decluttered my 2 Natasha and Huda palettes that I didn't like and use, and that was the Lila palette and the Sunrise palette. So yeah, I feel like the rest of these have a place in my collection and they get used. This is the Metropolis palette that I like reordered to match like my brain better. And I really like this palette. I used it today, so I'm going to keep that one. And this is the Biba palette, which I have replaced shades in this palette with shades from this palette and my Safari palette. Okay, so yes, yet another Rogue palette, I know. So this is my Safari palette. My son kind of, well, he dropped it and it stuck his fingers in it, so that's why it looks a little beat up. But it's fine. It's still perfectly usable. Beautiful. I love it. I do like the mattes in this palette. I like to switch them out with the mattes in the Bead palette and different colors from this palette, which is the green brown palette. And so I kind of just customize like my own shades and stuff from these to kind of match what I'm feeling or the season. And then I primarily like work out of just the Biba palette for a while. So yeah, I'm actually just going to be keeping all my Natasha and Huda palettes. Okay, so this is my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. This is the only one I have left, and it is the Armed and Gorgeous palette. And I actually think the color story of this palette is really, really unique and beautiful. But I got the Melt Gemini palette for Christmas, and I think that they are pretty similar in tones and colors, so I'm going to be keeping the Melt one, and I'm going to be decluttering the Morphe one. So the next palette I have is the Disney Katie Francation palette, and this is another palette I think I'm going to put on the chopping block, because I just don't reach for it as often as I feel like I should. And I do think it's really beautiful and nice, and the quality is pretty good, except the mattes. I don't know. I feel like the mattes don't blend as well as I want them to, but I'm going to put this on my chopping block and just see if I really feel like it's bringing anything unique and valuable to my collection, because I don't want to keep stuff around that I'm forcing myself to use when I'd rather be using something else, because then that's like letting something good go to waste in favor of something that I don't love. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is going to go on the chopping block with my Violet Voss palette. So post declutter me popping in here to say that this palette suffered a tragic accident sometime in the past like 10 minutes. So I'm just going to declutter this one because I feel like these shades I pretty much have in every other palette, and this shade is kind of similar to shades in the Tati Beauty palette, so I don't really need this. And I love Disney Katie, and I did like this palette while I had it, but this was one of the shades that like made it the most unique in my opinion, and now it's gone. So there's literally no point of keeping this, so I'm going to declutter this. Another chopping block palette that I already know is going to be the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. I don't dislike this palette. I do like it. I think it's beautiful, but I tend to only reach for like the same shades in here, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's because I just don't like the other ones, or they're just not colors I want to use, or what it is about it. So, I mean, I mostly use like these shimmers and then like the same like handful of mattes to kind of create the same looks. So I don't know if this is worth keeping around, because I have a couple other like mauve toned palettes that fill this area of my makeup needs for me. So yeah, I'm going to put this palette on the chopping block and try it out a couple times in the next few weeks, and then make a decision from there. The Blood Sugar palette. I bought this not too long ago, and it's like, again, kind of those like mauve pink tones, and I actually have only used this like one time, I think. So I think this will also be a chopping block palette for me, because it is beautiful, it is nice, it is very lovely, and I like the colors in it, but I'm not reaching for it, and I gotta figure out why. So it's gonna go on the chopping block. So we only have like 2 real sections left here, and those are my ColourPop palettes. And then we have Persona and a random palette, and then I have my Pat McGrath palettes. I guess we'll just start with Pat McGrath. These are, I actually have no idea what these are, the Mothership palettes. But I don't know which number this is, but this is what it looks like. And I think that the really standout shades are kind of like these shades, and then these shades are just kind of like base shades, but I really like the quality of these, and they're not something I want to get rid of yet. I do like them. I love the looks that I create with this palette. I'm going to keep both of these for now, but this might be the one that I reevaluate in the future if I'm not getting enough use out of like these shimmers. But for now, both of these are keys. Before we go to ColourPop, we'll just go look at the Persona Identity palette. This palette is actually like one of my go-to travel palettes, because it just has everything that I need in there for traveling. I feel like I just have other neutral palettes that I use more frequently, so it's so hard to say bye to this because I love them. Like, I think that these are amazing quality shadows. It's a beautiful little palette. It has like a nice mirror. It's good and easy to travel with, but I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to put this on the chopping block, and then we're going to decide later if it's something we want to keep or not. This is just a palette of like single eyeshadows I have. It's mostly ColourPop shades. So I think what's probably going to end up happening is that I'm going to be popping out shades from this mess that I want to keep and putting them in this palette. So I guess that will kind of count as like one declutter. But I don't really know. Okay, so moving on. I have the Strawberry Shake palette, which looks like this. And I also have the Ooh La La palette, which looks like this. And these are kind of complementary palettes. So I think with these 3 palettes, I might take the shades out and just make my one palette, if that makes sense. Because I think there are like a ton of similarities between these, and I don't think I need all 3 of them. And I do think they're beautiful and fun, but yeah, they're kind of like not necessary. So yeah, what I'm going to do is combine those palettes into like one 9-pan palette. I'll probably end up throwing the one away that's broken, and then the other one I will give to my sister. These 2 palettes I am going to keep because I think they're super unique and fun in my collection, and this is the Orangey Glad palette. Like, I think these are so beautiful. It's so fun. So I'm going to keep this palette. I love it for summer looks, and then this palette I just think is such great quality. Like, I don't wear blue very often, but this doesn't exist anywhere else in my makeup collection, so I'm keeping this one. And then I used to have more of these, but these are probably my 3 favorite 12-pan palettes from ColourPop. And this is the Good Sport palette, which I think this color scheme is gorgeous. It is, like, I use this palette so much in the fall time. Like, I love it. It's definitely, like, one of the highest quality palettes ColourPop has ever put out. Like, this is for sure a keep to me. And then we have the Sweet Talk palette, which I did replace some of the shades in here, so it doesn't look exactly like the Sweet Talk palette you would buy does, but I really like this. But I'm going to keep this palette in mind as well when I'm picking the shades that I want to keep from these palettes. So basically I'm keeping this, and I'll be keeping like 1 more of these. So we'll count this as like a 2 declutter. And then I have the Zodiac palette, which I also really like this palette. I get a lot of use out of it. I kind of like color combinations that are unusual, and I love the shade the Sagittarius. It's a shade I use a ton, but as you can tell, I have gotten a lot of use out of this palette, and I do really like it. So I'm going to be keeping this one. And then my last 2 palettes are, I have the Perception palette and the Fame palette. And the Perception palette is actually not the Perception palette. It's, I mixed shades from the Perception and the Double Entendre palette in here to create my own custom nude palette. And I reach for this a lot, and I think it helps that it's like custom curated. So I'll be keeping this one. This is the Fame palette. And the problem I have with this palette is that I never use it. I don't reach for cool tones that frequently, so I never reach for this. Other than the Sultry palette, this is the only cool tone neutral palette that I have, and I do feel like they're significantly different. So I think what I'm gonna do is put this on the chopping block because I do like it. I think the quality is really nice and really great, and it is beautiful, but it's just I don't wear cool tones that frequently, but I'm not ready to give it up yet. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put this on the chopping block, and then we'll see from there where we're at. Alright, so for what I'm keeping is so, I know it's kind of hard to see what's happening here, but this is the pile of palettes I'm keeping, and it's 26 palettes plus the 2 from this ColourPop mess that I'm gonna pull out. So that's 28 palettes that I'm keeping, and I feel fine with that. I feel like the majority of these are unique, and I get a lot of use out of them, and they all kind of bring different things to my collection and my makeup needs. So yeah, I'm like really happy with this pile of palettes. So this is like the little pile of palettes that I'm like definitely getting rid of, and there are 7 palettes here. But I'm also going to be getting rid of 2 of these ColourPop palettes, so that makes 9. So 9 decluttery things, which I don't know, it's not bad. And then this is my chopping block pile, if you will. So these are the 6 palettes that I'll be the 6 palettes that I'm going to be deciding on whether or not I want to keep them. And then we'll be kind of going from there, I guess. But I don't think that I would be keeping both of these palettes personally, because looking at the Blood Sugar palette, it looks like this. And then the New Nudes palette, like, they're not identical in any way, but I do think that the mauve tones that I reach for in this palette are in this palette. So yeah, I'm really just not sure how this will end up playing out, but the fact of the matter is that I just don't need to keep all of them. And this palette, again, I just have mixed feelings about. Like, I might just put it in my travel bag and just call it a travel palette. And kind of same with this. I like, these palettes kind of have similar tones, so I probably don't need both of these, but I just kind of want to pick, you know, like I want to use and try before I decide. And kind of same with this palette, like I have had it for a while, but I do like it, but do I like it more or enough than my other palettes? So yeah, these are just my 6 kind of like chopping block palettes, but overall I'm really happy with what we've done here, and I hope this was entertaining to watch. And if you want to see more declutters and makeup videos and motherhood lifestyle videos in the future, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.